know my life is gone. Is this where I belong? Is it wrong to not believe in right and wrong? My mental state is fucking me up, and I cried upon while asking you for some answers, but we don't have that type of bond. Now my desire's gone with the way that I've been living. If I died right now, you turn the fire on. Sick of this bullshit. What's up, family? How's everybody doing? Good to see those in the chat. Let's see. Let me make sure I got all the stuff off. Peace and black power to the family. Good to see everybody. How y'all doing? Q&A. I'm just going to be here for a little while to just answer the people's questions, because I do these Q&A shows when I get a lot of questions in my DMs and my inboxes and all that. So I just, instead of doing all of that typing, you know, I'd rather just come here. Yeah, get up a little closer. So what's up? What's up? Friend or foe? Friend or foe? Sunday, I should have, I'm going to have the RBG Hebrew sweaters so I can profile for you. And I think I put 2 in the mail the other day. Peace to Brother Night Train. Peace to you, family. Well, yeah, I'm going to have Sunday, I'm going to be profiling it for you so y'all be able to see it. And those of you that were wondering about the design, it's beautiful, man. Y'all gonna like it. You're gonna like it. And yeah, we still had the RBG Hebrew shirts for sale, but I didn't order no bulk order those, because I ain't in the business of wasting money, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna order 100 and then sell 25. And I'm definitely ain't gonna do that template scam on y'all, so I don't do that kind of shit. So whenever we get those orders, we'll do those as they go, but we're on sweaters right now. Yeah, we on sweaters. That's what we're doing. And it's a new design. I have 2 logos, and so we'll be able to put whichever logo you choose, and I'm going to advertise that Sunday, so you'll be able to check that out. Yeah. And like, share, and subscribe, family. And again, on these Q&A nights, know that there's nothing off limits. Nothing. Do you want to ask me how my shit smell? I'll tell you. Excuse my language. But on the real, on these Q&A nights, nothing is off limits. And we don't do long, drawn-out Q&A sessions. But, you know, it is what it is. And if the people have questions, I'd like to just answer them, because I'm not into wasting time on social media just typing and just going through all of that. And a lot of people like to do this DM calling or this instant messenger calling, Wi-Fi calling. Y'all listen, please. I say this shit like every time I do a Q&A. People get upset that you don't answer those, but I don't answer those. If you don't have my number directly, I'm not answering the messenger call. You can ask for my phone number, and I get you a way to get to me. But we don't do the instant messenger calling. And the series, we're going to go back on the series, Camps, Councils, and Man Worship. We're going to go back in on it. I think I had I think I got the advertisement set up for tomorrow, I think. Tomorrow or Saturday, one of the two. H. Mallet, what's happening, sis? Peace to you. Good to see you. Good to see you here. Yeah, so we're going to be going back into that series. And I'll let the brothers know, man, you know, me chastising y'all Hebrew Israelites about that. Right on, H. Mallet. Indeed. I don't think I hate the brothers, you know what I mean? The Israelites, especially the ones from the East Coast that I chastise a lot. You know, I don't think I hate them. If y'all are them, whoever you are, you know, I don't think I hate you, man. I don't hate you. I chastise a lot of brothers because a lot of brothers have potential and it needs to be recognized. Is that Brother Black? Let me see. Black Jesus, what's happening, man? When am I going in on Jabari? First question. Well, me and Jabari talked about it at right after your debate. And again, congratulations, because y'all, and it's a lot of Hebrews out here hating on Black Jesus minister. Y'all some silly motherfuckers, man. I can't stand that. Black Jesus, these niggas out here, some of these older niggas, some of these seasoned Negroes out here hating on you, man, because you showed well in that debate. Uh-huh. Some of these niggas would rather destroy the Bible than say anybody other than them has scholarship and a proper way to teach and respect it for another brother. So these motherfuckers, man, hate to see a nigga do good. Some of them in here right now. Yes, skull drug. Skull drug, Brother Jabari. I told Jabari, shout out to Brother Jabari. I love Jabari, man. And I respect the brother also. I told Jabari, I said, man, you lost the goddamn debate because you don't know how to open your mouth when somebody responds and makes an accusation and a claim. You don't know how to respond. That's what I told Jabari. I said it was too much stuff that Black Jesus put on the table in that debate that you did not have a proper rebuttal for. And I told him that was the number one thing, the reason why. And then the number two thing is he took the wrong route in that debate, man. Y'all Kemet people, listen to me, man. We done dealt with destroying all of them crazy premises for years. Talking about Heru is Jesus and all that. Listen, Heru is what Heru was mythologically. Leave that as respect to Heru and Kemetology and the Nile Valley. Let's leave that where it is in respect. We don't have to disrespect it as Israelites or Hebrews or RBG Hebrews. But y'all don't have to keep trying to join that shit with our Messiah. I told Jabari the second reason you lost that debate is because you stepped out there and started talking about astrology. But you let us know there's some failed astrology as relates to Heru. You say Heru is a winter deity, hails from the winter solstice. I told the brother, man, there is no African deity that's ever supposed to be pictured that way. Why would you have an African deity governing the people in a tropical region and the deity is a winter solstice deity? Them people that messed up and Kemet and gave y'all this demotic rewrote inside of your culture mistakes. Y'all got Greco-Roman zoology all mixed up into ancient venerations of people that y'all don't even teach about. They don't teach about Akhenaten. They don't teach about Ani, the papyrus of Ani. I'm gonna give a shout out to one brother, Meru, which is a devil. But Meru is the only Kemet brother I know that has ever sat down and let me grill him about some of the stuff like in the papyrus of Ani. I asked Meru, do you know who Ani's mother and daddy and grandmother and grandfather was? The brother that the Book of the Dead, papyrus of Ani is written for to govern his afterlife. I made Meru find Annie's mama and daddy. And a lot of these cats out here got y'all studying that shit, and that never occurred to you one time. Who in the fuck is this man, Annie? And what is the book for? Why did the Kemet priesthood put it together for her? How much did that cost? Did Annie really believe this shit? Much less the contents of the book, the critical thinking. And these guys don't do the critical thinking. And shout out also to Zion Lex. I criticize Zion a lot and chastise him, but Zion pointed out the same thing that I'm saying. Jabari has a kind of a mental block as relates to how to accept information in a debate and respond to it because it's valid. Y'all, with these Kemet people, y'all come with these dumbass questions like that, talking about Heru is Jesus, and then we come and make you prove who Heru is, and Heru ends up being a winter solstice deity born on December 25th, family, born on Christmas. Heru come out with wrapping paper on him in a boat. And then I point out that Christ was born late, well, really in springtime. And the story bears that out. And the historical record bears out no other fact but that. They don't even understand what you're trying to tell them when you say that kind of stuff, because they create those mental blocks. That's called cognitive dissonance. It is, man. And that's what I told the brother. So I'm saying, come on, man. You dropped the ball several times in that debate. You need to humble yourself, because that's a skill. Yeah, that's a skill, man. You got to learn how to do that. Get humble so you can learn. So, yeah, man. We talked about it one time, Brother Black Jesus, and I believe Jabari is scared to get back in that ring, man. Because I crunch bones, and I when I jab with my sword, I go way deep, and they normally bleed out after the fight. Jabari went up and crushed Brother Reggie with what I taught him in the debate. He won't admit it. He'll never admit it. Jabari will never admit that I taught him, and I pushed him in the corner and proved to him that Kemet was not only religious, but most of those people that were deeply enthralled in that, they thought it to be very literal, like Mr. Ani and his family and his bank account, paying the Kemet priesthood to paint him into the afterlife. So I don't know if Jabari gonna take it, man, but I give you kudos because you did your thing in that debate, and he couldn't really respond to nothing. And when he responded, it was bad. But I love that, Brother Jabari. Look, somebody said, what are the dimensions of your Johnson? Now, see, I got to answer that because I done painted myself in the corner and told y'all nothing is off limits. The dimensions of my Johnson are held in probably compartmentalized secrecy by my wife, just like the FBI and the CIA do about all the black projects. So I can't tell you that. I could just answer it. It's compartmentalized. Oh, Lord. Night Train says, I wanted to know, in what way did Black Jesus win the debate between, that was some of the, and I'll go into a couple more reasons. Jesus Christ, or the man known as Jesus Christ, the English Jesus Christ, right? That transliteration. Do y'all not realize all of these Negroes that hate the man known as Jesus Christ and talk about he ain't real? Do y'all not know? Listen to this reality, and this is an absolute truth. Listen and contemplate this. If Jesus Christ ain't real or was never real, then that would mean the entirety of the world are stupid as a motherfucker. Because Jesus Christ is the most popular man and most famous man in world history. Do y'all understand the gravity of that fact? I'm going to say that one more time. Jesus Christ, or the man known as Jesus Christ, with that English transliteration. Do you not know that if you don't believe in the existence of that man, you have to call everything that made you conscionably intelligent and taught you and raised you and formed you in this dimension, you have to go against it all. You got to be damn like a flat earther, because that man is literally not only the most talked about figure in world history and wrote about figure in world history, he is the most famous man that has ever lived. I don't know how many times I got to say that for people to understand. If you take that and you put it on the side, maybe Alexander the Great, family, you only have a few writings about Alexander the Great in history. Very few. I would say, with primary documentation and proof as relates to history and synchronizing that, probably about 20 known writers with concrete evidence about Alexander the Great. And one of them is in the Bible, the book of Maccabees, that documents the Roman period and the Greco-Roman period, rather, and what happened in North Africa and Alexander's generals and kings and all of that stuff. Family, where is Alexander the Great's bones? Y'all ever seen the inside of Alexander the Great's tomb? You ever handled Alexander the Great's bones? Have you ever even thought to yourself, where's Alexander's bones? But you think of every reason to disprove a man with way more, vastly more amount of documentation. And that's how a lot of these guys lose cred with me, man. Because they don't understand how to take common arguments and long-standing pseudo scholarship and look on the back side of the coin to find out the answer. hmm You say Abraham is never real. The Bible's not real. The people in the Bible's not real. It's all allegory. When I look in real history and I deal with the coinage of Roman history and Greco-Roman history, it's stamped in world history that people lived. That's a big ass heavy thing that trips a pseudo scholar's scales, that tips it like this, because most of them don't know how to react to historical synchronization. You've lied over here so good, you and Manito lied over here, but y'all forgot to go to the Minoan culture and find out what they said about certain things. You forgot to go to the Hittite kingdom, their migration into Anatolia. But then you come and you talk about the Hittites of the Bronze Age, and you forgot about those back there. You understand? There is a wealth of history that debunks all of the common pseudo scholars' arguments, especially about the Bible and the people in the Bible. I've never once had a problem proving anything as relates to what I know is literal about the text. And I know that there are a lot of things in the text called idioms and allegory and astrology and astronomy and gematria, but also a literal people stamped into history. hmm So Jabari lost that debate on a lot of points, man. Like I said, you can't just come and assert something, and just because it's common to believe that, then we have to go with that. That's called, you know, that's really pseudo. Mm-mm. And dealing with minimalist scholarship, finding, just digging in the trash can to find anything, any degradation about somebody historically that you don't like. Yeah, I can't respect that. You come up with, uh, some guy, Palomino Wilson, and nobody ever knew him. You find a piece of paper he wrote that was a scrap of trash paper. He balled it up and threw it away, and then somebody went through his trash and found it and brought it into history, and somebody else wrote a book about it. Then thousands of years later, Jabari pulls that trash paper and bring it to you in a debate. And because who he is, people accept that as truth. But I said historical synchronization and actual hard thinking, making every implication bear itself out to the least implication. That's where real scholarship lies, real philosophy, and even real, debate. But our people, fucked up off of that aspartame and shit, man. So let me get some water, family. Hold on 1 second, fam. Hold on, y'all. Be right back. All right. And I got a fresh thing of water too. Look. And y'all, I'm about to jump to the questions and just grab it. Let's see. Aaron Thompson, peace to you. Wildebeest, I'm gonna have to get over you. I'm gonna have to just make an exception because I can't fuck with you, Wildebeest. You going crazy. You in here talking about the size of my dick, talking about cocaine. I don't want to talk about that shit. Find another question to ask, Wildebeest. Goddamn. I want to debate in many ways. Yeah, yeah. Black Jesus, do your thing, baby. Answer those things. Bazoo, that was a death blow, yeah? Mm-hmm. Yep, and John Henry Clark, and let me speak on that too. It's a shame, and I did this to Brother Garfield concerning Aluda Equino. And a lot of these brothers don't understand psychology, and they don't understand the real debate tactics. Concerning Aluda Equino, right? Or Gustavus Vassa, the African. I wanted to see, in presenting that information in that book and the documents concerning him and the primary stuff, back when him and Reggie had a debate, I presented it to prove a point that sometimes these Negroes in the Kemet culture or these other African cultures or whatever the perception is, they will be willing to destroy it all just to get a lick in about this Hebrew or this Christian lost a point on something, this or that. That's a shame. You'd be willing to sacrifice one of our greats. Mm-hmm. You'd be willing to attack a historical black figure because you hate the Bible. And so I brought up Aluda Equino, and the brother kept on, Aluda Equino ain't no Hebrew Israelite. And I kept on telling him, where the fuck is y'all getting that from? Who said that? In the book, Aluda says that he is Oye Igbo. That's all I'm saying. I said, Aluda said in the book that there were Jews in Igbo land as he was growing up. That's in the book. The book of Gustavus Vassa or Aluda Equino says written by himself, only edited by Henry Louis Gates Jr. In the book, there are testimonies from the people that all of these guys love, which are white folk. The same people they come to devalidate the Bible. They go find the Ashkenazi Jew. They bring him to say that the Bible's an allegory. But I say the Jew ain't in the Bible as a Jew. The Jewish man ain't in the Bible as a Jew. He's in there as a Gentile. So I'll understand why he said it ain't real. The same thing in the book of Gustavus Vassa. You got admirals, generals, dukes, duchesses, the Duke of Cumberland. All of these people validating who he was. Right? General, admirals, all kinds of shit. Then you got these brothers that would rather you not read the book and hear him say what I brought from it, a historical synchronism, that the Jews present pre-transatlantic slave trade through the Gayo and the Songhai Empire, Islamic Empire in Negro land, Central Africa, Jews present there, Yahudim, and several cultures, not just Aluda, testified to them being there. And they still do today. Go to Igbo land and you'll find Israelites, people to tell you they follow the Torah. How did it get that way? Because there's been goddamn Jews in Negro land and Igbo land since Negro land and Igbo land been a land. So Garfield says, Olito Equiano never even lived. Olito was born in Virginia. So he done went and found some minimalist that comes against the people that he validates. Dukes, duchess, earls, admirals, generals. That's called a goddamn bad intellectual loss, and terrible when you will throw away primary portions of your cultures because the mistake of pride and bad scholarship. Read the book. Read the book. The argument ended up, where did Aluda born at? That ain't no facts in the book, really. We wasn't even arguing about that, but he took it way to that point because of his desperation to disprove the fact that Jews existed in their ancient African construct, not in the Israeli Ashkenazi people that they like to reference all the time. See that? And that's how the devil works. You got to be smart enough to unravel all of the bullshit. You know what I mean? Let's see what else we got. Oh, so John Henry Clark. John Henry Clark was talking about the historical Jesus. And John Henry Clark, even in the other interviews, he said it several times. He talks about this man known as Christ not only being a system, the system, Christos or Christ or Christ, all of that extending way back through Africa. Come on, family. Then he comes and says that also there's a historical man and he was not white. But then the conversation morphs into, was it mythos? I said, no, wait a minute. Not only did his personage and the office of Christ or Christos or Christ, or even the smearing of this idea, anointing Messiah, and this being a present in way in ancient Africa, but then you come and you say there was an embodiment of this man. He actually lived and was of a specific African people, of a specific African people. African people. That drives the One West guys crazy, but they need to read the Bible. And then it morphs into mythos. Well, somebody lying. See? And so John Henry Clark, just like all of the other Kemetic scholars, have at one point in their scholarship and their tenure admitted the truth. Even Dr. Ben wrote a book about it, man. And then, when he was in his right mind and then he went off into idolatry and all the other shit, We the Black Jews was him talking about his family and his connection to that house. And then Dr. Ben took a shahada. Dr. Ben wasn't insane when he wrote We the Black Jews. He was not insane when he wrote We the Black Jews. He was not out of his mind. He was at his top of his scholarship, really, as I would see it, and him being a current scholar and involved in North African studies up there. Dr. Ben wasn't crazy when he wrote that book. There's fact in that book. And there's also more fact in the sense that you need to look into Dr. Ben's claim of his parentage, of what's going on with the matriarchy and the patriarchy lineages documented and solidifying who you are as a Jew. The political structure in North Africa, in Ethiopia, and in what was Ethiopia, now Ethiopia and Eritrea. All of this stuff has to be considered before you just come and tell me, oh no, that's bullshit. Come on, man. Your own teachers are talking about this their whole tenure. And then somebody, Brother Black Jesus, bring it out and they don't want to talk about it. That's some weak shit. You lose a point, you know what I mean? So John Henry Clark definitely talked about it and wrote about it and a lot of other shit, you know what I mean? Let's see, Night Train. I watched him, and yeah, I'll do that. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, I liked the debate, man. I liked it. Black Jesus is his own type of brother. He's unique, and I respect him for that. And that's why I love the brother, because he ain't trying to be, nobody else. He trying to be himself, whom the Most High made him. And I love that, man. I respect that, brother. hmm How did I first meet Carl? Thanks for the question, Wildebeest. I met Carl, and Carl liked to lie about it, but the first time I met Carl was not dealing with the Hebrew war machine. Carl lies so goddamn much, boy. That boy is crazy. Um, I met him through Facebook. He was on Facebook arguing with this brother, the very brother that's in the chat, Black Jesus. hmm Arguing with Black Jesus about how many heavens there are. And I ended up putting my 2 cents in, and Carl, crazy ass Carl, wanted to debate me about it. So we went argument back and forth. I don't think I even knew him before then. Now, if it's been so long ago that I make a mistake, I'm making a mistake. But I don't think I knew him before then. I think I knew him as a Facebook post type person, and then I was talking to him about this number of heaven thing that him and Black Jesus was talking about on the post, and I went in on it, and we ended up debating. That's a debate he don't want never let y'all hear. Y'all won't ever hear that one. But I put snippets of it up on some of my old channels. The ones that YouTube took off the air years ago. Uh, I put copies of it up, and I still got it. I still got the debate. Tore his ass up in that debate, and he couldn't stand it, so he started cussing me out on every one of his shows. And then during that time, we was building what is called the Hebrew war machine, and we was gearing up for a debate with these Kemet brothers. This is years ago. And so Carl became this Esau loving freakazoid nut ass individualite type person that kept trying to come around when we was on the radio, on Blog Talk Radio, on the Hebrew war machine. So I used to shoot at him on the radio, pow, 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 and he could never really get in the Hebrew war machine because I was there, and I would point out all of these ridiculous facts about the brother that made him ineligible. Like his love, just diehard love for white people. This boy here will respect the white man to no end, but will call you any and everything as his black brother. Call you anything, do anything to you. A sellout. So I started being kind of hard on him on the radio and kind of blacklisted him back then. And he really detested me for that and the debate. And in that debate, one of his friends kind of left him. That's when I first met LaRon, G-Con. Shout out to G-Con. G-Consciousness hairline start back here, y'all. But LaRon is a good brother, man. I had to cuss LaRon out and straighten him up for years. LaRon is getting better. But that's when I met LaRon first, because I had to cut LaRon's head off in that debate. He called in talking crazy. Mm-hmm. No matter how Hashem I am. They didn't know. They didn't know. So yeah, that debate. And if y'all want to hear it, just let me know and I'll put it. I'll find it, throw it right back up. I'll put it up just to drive him crazy. Let y'all hear how uneducated he was even back then. Carl is one of them people that think the earth was here submerged underwater when the Most High created the heaven and the earth at the beginning. Carl is stupid as hell. I asked him in the debate, where's that in the text? Is that in the Hebrew text? Nigga, did you get that from the goddamn Kabbalah? Where did you get that from, the Talmud? That boy said the earth was submerged underwater. And this is not nothing that's just analogous to Carl. There's thousands of people that believe that. But all of the people that believe that have never read the text one time in Hebrew and never understood it. Foolishness. It's like I was telling the brother, he was misinterpreting the word hoag, hoag, the word that talks about a vault in the Hebrew. And he was misappropriating the word because there's another word that sounds like hoag, hug. One of them is to hammer flat, and one is talking about a vault in the Hebrew. This nigga here ran off down the road talking about flat earth, and he misreading the text. And the same is with Carl. He's misunderstanding it because he's never read it in Hebrew. So in the debate, I was killing him with the Hebrew part of the text and just giving him little light stuff, not even nothing heavy. He lost his mind and unraveled. And ever since then, we was mortal enemies. And then it all kind of culminated in the fact that, you know, I ended up did something concerning the brother's mama that I shouldn't. And I apologized to him over the years about that. But when you touch and leave a fingerprint on somebody's soul like that, it's kind of hard to, hard to come back from that. You know, let me see. Go back. Do you know about the Levitical priests had temples in China and they learned the way of our high priests, like the dietary law? Um, what we see as a dietary law and the Levitical priesthood, and thank you for that question. What we see as the dietary law and the Levitical priesthood is actually a universal law. hmm It's actually rooted in science and genetics versus it being a literary rubric that you govern the people by. Is actually rooted in science and genetics. And so, beside it being analogous to the Israelites, it's actually universal truths. Yeah, universal truths that are most specifically related to the dark, pigmented, and hue melanated peoples of the earth, and subsequently other races and mutations of people benefit from that knowledge. That's an absolute truth and the universal truth. But yeah, yeah, all over, all cultures around the world have benefited from it. Even the 8-day circumcision that we do in this country, or some people do still, came from that particular Levitical core and the teachings that even preceded it. I'll show you something. I'll share something with you. The Levitical priesthood, most of the things that govern the Levitical priesthood and how they applied the statutes existed already. Today we call it the oral law. We call it oral transmission of law, right? Family teachings, cultural teachings that go from culture to culture over spans of years. And I say culture to culture because the oral truths and the teachings don't morph. Just governments and people and migrations morph as relates to anthropology, right? The law, the priesthood, the Levitical law, has many things present in the life of Abraham in the book. And I talk about this a lot. Um, I could pull out I'll pull out one of the last teachings that I talked about it on here. Abraham knowing what a ram symbolized in the later Levitical law that came thousands of years after Abraham lived, right? Abraham understanding that he's about to establish son, and the Most High in the scriptures is said to have given him a sacrifice in it being a ram. Abraham at that point does not misunderstand the transmission. Abraham understands that the ram symbolizes a mistake, a point of ignorance. And then later on in the Levitical law, you'll see the giving and sacrificing of rams being for the sin of ignorance. All right. So the point I'm making is that the law that these Canaanite, African born, later to be Israelites, followed was actually a previous law that existed in the life of Abraham that came way out of Ur and Chaldea before he even got to Africa. Abraham had this understanding, not that it was taught to him. Abraham was just guided from that place to this place by the Most High. Abraham was not given any laws to follow. Abraham was still under Chaldean mentality and culture, like things like the oath. It's the oath, like when you take your hand and put it under another man's thigh, and you swear by that. Those things came from Abraham's previous culture, but those things kind of overlapped into other cultures later on, and then they rest in the scriptures text. And some people, without prior knowledge of those things, they only see it given in Levitical law. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So yeah. Let me see your question again. Your question was about the China's people in China and how they, observing certain things that are present in the dietary law, the Levites. Yes, because it's a universal law, not necessarily analogous to that people, but it is analogous to genetics, hmm and science. That's the truth. And when you get into the deeper aspects of the Torah, it actually leads you only into genetics and science. hmm God is the most absolute scientist. Yeah, that was a good observation, Kevon Williams, and that's worth looking into a lot more too, because there's a lot of things in China that you know really, man, are synchronous with our people, and we need to study anthropology because it will answer a lot of questions about it. Yeah, cultural anthropology and physical anthropology. Let me see what does the question say. But then, yeah, cultural anthropology is a good way for us to see a lot of these synchronisms and different things. Night Train says your biblical understanding is advanced, brother. Did you have a teacher or an advisor? Yes, both. And thank you for that comment, man. That's very humbling, brother. uh, I had both. I had a long-standing, encouraging mother that encouraged me to read and get into all types of other mental disciplines, music being one of them, but reading and study, and definitely the biblical things, biblical side of it, but things that undergirded what we believed, because I even teach belief is not just raw belief. Belief is rooted in knowledge, you know. And so my mom is a big part of everything that I've learned over the years, her encouraging me to study and even watching her study. My mom got her master's degree when she was in her 50s. You know what I mean? Went back to school. And that was a big encouragement to study. Um, but as far as the text in the Bible, I've been around very, 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 very astute scholars in Christendom for my whole early part of my life. So I wasn't around the dumb Christians. I was around Christians that actually studied and went through deeper disciplines than seminary and that, And then when I evolved away from that, the Most High put me around a lot of Hebrew scholars and people that knew how to deal with the text and could teach me and guide me through uh, learning that language and kind of, you know, internalizing it and going forward in myself. But my greatest teacher, as relates to what I see and I do and I speak, is the Most High, and prayer and personal study and cultural identification, y'all. Listen to me. My mother taught me this. Even when I was misdiagnosed in school with acute dyslexia, my mother taught me, if something don't make sense to you, Michael, it will never make sense to anybody else coming from you. And so I learned to culturally identify with history. And when I started doing that, history became my biggest thing that I ever studied. And I started loving it. And, you know, it was on. So I had a whole lot of different sources, man, that I pulled from, that the Most High put me in these people's way. And then later on, just up in like the modern last 10 years or 10 to 15 years, I met all of these Israelite brothers that I know. And man, I know all of the great ones. And I've questioned and probed and all kind of learning from some of these great brothers, man. And, I have an innumerable amount of resources that I've learned from and people that have imparted stuff into my life, man. So I can't give it all to me saying I studied and learned it all. No, no, no. It was given to me. It was shown me. I was guided to it, you know. Yeah. But all honor goes to the Most High for anything that I know and able to verbalize, you know. I had some serious experiences in prayer a long time ago that I could say I probably had a lot of the information that I know downloaded and just given to me in one prayer and in one word and one stream of communication, being born again and having those closet moments and Kodesh moments, man, because I've had some unexplainable. Yeah. But yeah, that was a good question. But I've had a lot of people to help me and imparted a lot of things to guide me and, you know, and to give advice. Even today, I still surround myself with older brothers that, really intelligent and got their stuff together so that I can be inspired, by them. Yeah. Hmm? Don't come out here with them velvet pants on, man. Let these people see you on this goddamn camera. Let me move this camera. Cause you playing games. If y'all see these goddamn pants my wife got on, y'all would never. Man, come on, man. Come on, get what you gonna get. Get out here with that on. Lord, you tripping. You need to burn them up. Baby, you have a pencil? No, I don't use pencils. The people waiting for you to get out of here. Because I don't want these people to see you with them disco jeans on, whatever that is. They're facing you, right? No, they can see. Well, I don't want to be shamed because my wife got on goddamn dance fever pants out this bitch, y'all. A bazoo. This girl got on disco pants, man. You're a hater. Dang. God damn. damn disco jeans out this bitch.
Okay.
Thank you. Y'all might ever wear some goddamn shit. Y'all be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why you got that on? Yeah. Oh, goddamn dance fever shit, man. Let's see. Big Pop says I got Layla Wells to acknowledge her legal proceedings today on a podcast. Really? Uh, if she did, she did. Uh, I got a lot of respect for that sister, man, and she's beautiful, but she's intelligent and she ain't scary. You know what I mean? I respect her, man. I got a lot of respect for her, and I told her weeks ago, I thank God for you bringing that hammer down on some of these devilish Negroes in this community, get them in court. Don't you know these niggas are trying to accuse that? No, I ain't gonna talk about. It. I ain't gonna talk about because that ain't my business. But accuse her of something as egregious as what they did. The reason why they in court. So I got a lot of respect for that sister, man. She had a good show today on live. I forget what's the name of that thing, man. But y'all can just Google it; it'll pop up. She did a good live show today. Brother Abazu says, have you and Pit Boss ever swung your swords intellectually in the private? Shout out to Pit Boss. Pit Boss is a, what do you call those people? Uh, Damn. That believes all of the biblical prophecies have already happened. You know, preterists. And I don't, preterism is his own insanity to to a degree, but preterism has a lot of literal truth in it, you know. So I kind of like, I don't dog it and down it, but I don't fuck with it either. But Pit Boss is a preterist, but Pit Boss is an intelligent brother, you know. Me and Pit Boss have had most of our conversations we've had been offline, you know, just talking on the phone or something. Me and him argue offline. I haven't talked to Pit Boss in a long time. But I think he still got my number and stuff. But I haven't talked to him in a while. But intellectually, yeah, every time I talked to him, it was about something real or intellectual. And nope, I'm lying. The last time I talked to Pit Boss was on Sinetta's show. And I think I called in and I spoke with him on there or something. I forget how it went. But I was talking to him on the show. And I think that's the last conversation I had with Pit Boss. But Pit Boss is a good brother. Pit Boss teaches a lot of information on stems, or he used to, and that's great, man, for our people to be talking about that and resurrecting that as something that's we need to be teaching our kids today. And yeah, man. So I respect Pit Boss. Pit Boss is a good brother, good dude, man. Yeah, he's a good dude. I'd like to sit down and have a conversation with Pit Boss. We never thought about it and never really actually did that just one on one, talking intellectually on live or nothing. But I might contact him and see, about to call him and let him know. Say, Brother Michael say he'd like to take his glove off and see if he could slap the shit out of you intellectually with it. Nah, Pit Boss is a good brother though. I respect him and I love that brother, man. Yeah. Let's see. You live a long time when you follow the Levitical law. A lot of things that benefit us in the Levitical law. I know I got 15 years on you, but learning from you, Nitron, he says. Yes, sir. Kevon says, do you have a book called Hebrew Pharaohs of Egypt? Mm-mm. But I've heard of I don't know if it's that book or if it's one similar. Pharaohs of Egypt, I've heard of. I didn't know it was called Hebrew Pharaohs of Egypt. But there's a lot in the way of like what I was talking to him about earlier. The fact that they don't talk about Akhenaten is a problem, family. Akhenaten changed the reality and scope of the Kemet priesthood so much so to it became again from pantheism to monotheism. Okay, you believe in a trillion other gods, and you can even mix them up and put them together and shit. You know, put Re and Osiris together, make Osiris the solar Re. That's what Kemet was in its ancient antiquity, right? And even in this modern Greco-Roman age, they went back to that. But under Akhenaten, monotheist, they never talk about that because if you have a system like Kemet and you have at one time monotheist, that must in its base understanding mean that the person, the pharaoh Akhenaten, his family had a literal understanding of deity and spirituality. That conversation gets as deep as the ocean because Manetho and Jabari forgot it, erased it, and don't want to talk about it. Don't want to talk about Akhenaten's children, Akhenaten's wife, who the fuck Akhenaten was himself. And why was it so important to change into a monotheistic system abruptly? Revolution in Kemet. You see, these guys, I tell them, don't get in the Bible unless you want to talk about that kind of stuff. See, don't come in the Bible unless you want to talk about Akhenaten and monotheism. They don't even talk about Tutankhamun. Almost zilch. Me and Ngozi was talking about Tutankhamun as relates to his depictions with the blue helmet and one of them reliefs of him. Man, me and Ngozi went for about 2 hours on one day on one of these hangouts. But I like to talk about the things as relates to that culture that they don't talk about. Neither do they understand nor explain. Tell me why Jabari ain't got a lecture on why Akhenaten is so little talked about and even documented. And what did Akhenaten believe? Was he talking about mythos? Akhenaten would slap the shit out of you talking about mythos. Akhenaten probably would have had you burned and boiled in goddamn lava. Mythos. See, back then, science and spirituality was one, not two. Man, I'm telling you, family. But I'm gonna look that book up and I'm gonna see if that's the same one that I've heard of, but I didn't know it had the Hebrew connected to it. Hebrew pharaohs of Egypt. Thank you for that. I'm gonna look it up too. I'm a book nut. Believe that. Graham, peace to you, family. Going good, man. Just here chatting with the people. Yes, sir. I love this, man. Abazu says, how do you think Sinetta's team of comedic scholars will do against Chris Broussard and the pastors at Michael Edwards? I think that if Chris Broussard and the pastors don't have nerves of steel and have primary information, some real hard data, they're going to go down bad. and gonna keep going down. And that's been the age-old mistake. And that's why these guys have so much trouble when they deal with us, because they expect for us to, when they punch, for us to turn into confetti like some of these brothers do. But we don't. We punt, they punch, boom. We absorb that and send it back twice as hard. Boom, 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 boom. And their pants fall down and coins fall out their pocket. Yeah, man. But yeah, I don't think, Chris Broussard is a good brother too. And Sonetta owed me a conversation with Chris Broussard. I'm gonna remind Son about that shit. Let me check and see what Chris got inside of him. Put me and Chris on the air together, and let me and Chris build about synchronizing Hebrew culture and this RBG Hebrew and Christianity, and see what kind of boiling cauldron we come up with. See who jump out the pot. Yeah, but Chris Broussard is a good dude, and Chris ain't no dummy. Chris ain't no dummy. I've heard Chris talk several times about religion and spirituality and even a little bit of history. So yeah, and Chris got access to all the world's knowledge because this nigga right here is, you know, dealing with the TV people. So you got access to a lot more resources than some people do. So they should have a good shot at it. I don't know. Is that a conversation that's coming up? Chris Broussard and the pastors. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into that again about and see. I'm gonna talk to Saul about that. Tell him that don't you bring Chris Broussard on unless you let me cut him first, cause you owe me that. Oh man, Mo Vaughn, peace to you. Graham says Layla messed up her own documentary, not doing her due diligence on some of the characters involved. I don't disagree. I That was my only qualm with the sister. We talked about that about Poppy. Poppy is like giving a documentary AIDS. You fucking with Poppy. But Layla's a good sister, man. She is a good sister. Good sister. Uh, see, Big Pop Thought Crimes podcast. Yep, yep. I think that is it. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Geno Jennings and his teachings? I love Pastor Jennings, man. I think Pastor Jennings be off on a very few points, but not off enough for me to say that he's teaching the wrong message. I gotta be honest. Geno Jennings is one of the only Christian preachers, and then he don't even call himself Christian. He calls himself holy, what God is. But I don't have anything I could negatively say about Geno Jennings. I actually admire that brother, and I really admire his walking over the years with the brother not being caught up in the scandals and sex scandals and drug scandals and misappropriating money. How the brother is focused on people, saving souls and evangelizing, going into other countries, spreading the gospel in Jamaica like he done, man. And then Pastor Jennings and his other brother, Royale, or whatever the boy name was, Pastor Jennings destroyed this boy, ripped this boy into confetti like Pastor Jennings was 21, fam. Pastor Jennings said, I want Bible. I want Bible. Pastor Jennings said, I don't want to hear your mouth. I want Bible. Man, Pastor Geno Jennings is off the chain, bro. And like I said, man, I don't have nothing. My differences with him is so minute that I can't even say it in good faith and be a man of integrity. Those brothers are highly anointed in what they're doing and what they've been doing. And I admire him and Elder Williams. Williams is like a laptop, a computer, an Apple with his knowledge. Williams sit there and find all of them scriptures on the fly. And then being that they both have the spirit of discernment and the Holy Spirit, they bounce off each other, Abazu, bro, like they practice that stuff. And you know they ain't practice that, but they've been, with each other for a number of years. So I just, I appreciate that, brother, man. I really do. And I admire Pastor Geno Jennings and Elder Williams and what Geno Jennings is doing, man. That's how I feel about Pastor Jennings, man. Great brother, and his teachings. hmm I think Pastor Jennings is one of the only, and like I said, he's not don't call himself Christian. He calls himself what God is, holy, but considered to be Christian. He's about the closest to what we are as Israelites. hmm He go by the book. Yeah, yeah, but I like the brother, and I appreciate him, man. I used to listen to a lot of Pastor Jennings, a lot. Like about 5 years ago, I was like digesting every one of the brother's sermons and everything because he's wise. hmm See, my favorite, the Hebrew cultural way with the 42 negative confessions. It mirrors much that's in the Torah. That's why the Negroes say the Torah came from that, because it's just so much alike, but they don't understand how cultures tend to do that, reflect each other. A lot of them don't study anthropology, so they don't understand why closely related cultures, or even cultures that come out of the same lineages, and they split migratory fashions, or in spiritual, or in government fashions. They don't understand how it can all be the same thing in its base. But that's the beauty in studying history, man. Finding that golden thread. Finding that golden thread. Love the question. Yeah. Yeah, me too. That's why you have 12 Semitic disciplines sitting up on top. Black Jesus says, Michael Edwards is number one. Brother, thank you, man. Stop it. I appreciate that, man. Thank you, Black Jesus, man. You awesome, brother. And I respect you and I love you. Like I said, and niggas can talk about all they want to. Brother DeBar is still leaking from that debate, bro. I'm proud of you, man. I am very much, sir. Big Pop says, "What do you think about Izzy accusing Sonnet of doing a 180 on Poppy to get an interview?" Um, Israel doctrine is sick, and Israel will say anything, to get somebody into hell with him. If he could pull you down into Greek hell with him and Hades, that would just make his day. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of truth to the fact that Sonnet is a chess player, man. And there's a lot of truth to the fact that Poppy need to come and answer some real questions. Like, I'll take for example, the brother asked Poppy the other day. He said, "The interview I want to have with you is because I got questions like, when you and Bam had y'all's issue and Bam molested you, as you say, who took off your clothes? Did Bambata disrobe you, or did you take off your own clothes?" Those are the questions that the detectives and the crime lab folk be wanting to know. Mm. The questions like, when you said he laid you on your side and he thied you, where were your hands? Were your hands by your side? Were you reaching for him? Were you looking back at it? What was you doing? And that might sound like somebody trying to make it funny, but for real, those are questions we want to know. Why do we want to know it? Because Poppy brought this shit to us, you know. And so, yeah, Sonetta wants to have that interview, and Israel Doctrine is trying to capitalize on being the static in between the two brothers, being the dissonance to kind of create a space for himself. But those two brothers got real history as far as why they need to be talking. You know what I mean? And I think that would be a good interview. I think they should sit down. And again, like I said, Sonetta's wise, man. Sonetta ain't no idiot. Sonetta's a chess player, and Sonetta is a wise brother. He know what he doing. I don't know if Poppy know what he doing, but I'm saying my brother Son know what he doing. And let me see the question again to make sure I touched it right. What do you think about Izzy accusing Sonetta of doing a 180 on Poppy to get an interview? A 180 on Poppy. Like I said, Sonetta's a chess player. But Sonetta comes out and does the thing that lets you see how transparent. If he texting Poppy in the background, he comes out and showed us the text and read it to us. So he ain't hiding nothing. So it's not really a game. He's playing chess because that's what he do, but it's not a game. You understand what I'm trying to say? So, that's why I can understand the brother a lot more than a lot of people can, because I understand the brother. hmm And he got a right to ask them questions because Poppy came to him and us all with that. We didn't go to Poppy, you know. So Poppy deserved, we deserve to get questions answered from Poppy that he refused to answer. And I think the interview on Hip Hop Uncensored was bullshit. I think Oh God was scared of Poppy and didn't ask Poppy the deep enough questions. You know, so 180 or not, I think that the conversation should happen. And 180 is perspective. Perspective from who? The person looking at it. Because when you're in the situation and you're trying to love a brother and help a brother, a lot of times you go from this end of the spectrum to that end of the spectrum. When you think a person needs your help and you honestly try to help them, and then you get into that situation trying, and you find out this motherfucker's sick, and this is actually the problem, then you tend to change and take remove yourself from that. And I think people ought to understand that nothing is just cut and dry, man. Who in the world would stay protecting somebody that's talking about raping another man's children? How many times do you let a person threaten you before you say, "Look, I don't fuck with you, and you're uncredible to me"? How many times you hear and you campaigning for a person this way, and then they go down the road and tell the story 10 other different ways. You know, yes, you campaigned for him, but damn, he changed the story. You know what I mean? And that's where the brother is. You know what I mean? So, 180 thing is perspective, only from the person that's looking at it. But when you put yourself actively in his condition, or in the stead that I was in, trying to mediate between them two cats, I see it totally different than it being a 180. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, Poppy done talked about breast cancer and shit, making fun of it and all that. You know. Graham says, how many times is Sai going to reach out to his son? See, that's the other side of the coin right there. You see that? How many times is Sai going to reach out to his son only to be burnt and challenged to one of his son's famous celebrity boxing matches? See that? That's the other side of that coin that I'm telling you. It's not a 180. It's that the brother got burnt dealing with it. And people only see things the way they want to see it sometimes. People only see it the way they know to see it sometimes. People only see things as relates to how much information they have on the subject sometimes, you know. And so that's the real truth, what Graham just said. That's the real truth. You know, how many times is he gonna reach out to him? I did a video with me and Poppy on the phone going back and forth, and me scolding Poppy on a personal phone call that I had to record because I know Poppy was trying to burn Sonetta and me just because that's the kind of cat he is. And that recording is on this channel, I think, and on RbgHebrew1. But, you know, Poppy is just a miscreant Negro, man. And Poppy need a lot of lessons learned as far as being a man. Yeah, and it's painful to watch him learn them lessons right now at this late date, but better now than never, you know. Yeah. Is he probably listening to Lee Williams' greatest hits on his house right now? Yo, man, shout out to Lee Williams. Rest in peace to Lee Williams, man. Lee Williams was a great quartet singer. Obasu. Lee Williams used to sing like this. Come on, children, let's have a good time. Gotta get Jesus on your mind. Listen, everybody, we got to get with one accord. Jesus will be there. Thank him because he... Lee Williams didn't move, Brother Bazu. That was like Lee Williams' uh, trademark, man. I studied a lot of Lee Williams music. That's how I know all his lyrics and stuff, man, because I had to play all that stuff. Then I'm from Louisiana, so we right next door to Mississippi. Shout out to Castro Coleman. Castro Coleman is one of the greatest guitar players on the earth. He's in Mississippi. But I had to learn all that quartet music, man. Lee Williams off the chain. I'm going to give y'all a song to listen to. I guarantee you tonight. Obazu probably could vouch for it. Obazu probably heard it. I don't know. But it's called You've Been Good. It's a live performance by Lee Williams. And it's a slow song where he talks and testifies about how good God's been to him. And man, if y'all listen to that, I guarantee you're going to be blessed for real, for real. It's called You've Been Good or Good to Me. Right? And bruh, I'm telling you, check that out when y'all get off this stream. Google it. You've Been Good, Lee Williams, or Good to Me. That either one of them titles, you'll see it. Yeah, man. Ooh, Lee Williams stay on one chorus of a song for 10 minutes, god damn it. Rocking. He just right there. Lee Williams, he moved to wipe his sweat and back down to his side, and Lee would get right back in that pocket. Thank him because you. Lee was a great singer, a great intellectual as far as being a showman. Yeah, rest in peace, Lee Williams. Yeah, man. And the spiritual QCs. That was his group name. Let's see. Gingerbread Man, peace to you, fam. Oh, we just here chatting with the people, man. We about to wind it up. Yeah, we about to wind it up. You come in at real late. You say, let's go. We been doing Q&A, man. Yeah. Night Train says, I was trying to tell you, brother, I sung with the Colorado. Wow, man, in the late 90s. Still in the Army. And I agree with Black Jesus. Yes, sir. You sang with the Colorado Mass. Brother, give me one of the albums that you sang on with the recordings so I could go check that album out. Because I know Colorado did some good songs, man. And that's when, Colorado Mass really, they led into the music industry in the 90s, man. I was in Louisiana at that time learning y'all songs. Damn. That's good to know you, man. For real, for real. That's why I love this thing, man. Get to meet the people. Some great people on here, man. Every one of y'all are great to me, though. For real. Same with the Colorado mask. Man. Kavan says, what do you, excuse me, what do you think about the Bantu language deriving from Hebrew? Bantu really, truthfully, is not a language, fam. Bantu is a cultural identification that has within it several linguistic systems and cultural connections. I know what you mean when you say Bantu, the language, but Bantu is not necessarily a language. Bantu is a culture, and that is connected to many other cultures and linguistics. But when you deal with Bantu cultures, you deal with those that have been or witnessed culturally, like what I talked about Aluda Equino in uh, in that book, and how he referenced to the presence of Jews in Igbo land. You have the same cultural anomalies in Bantu, right? You have that culture, and then you have many different connecting cultures and subcultures that people don't necessarily take into their nationalities. I'll explain this, what I'm saying easily. Us today in America, we are considered Americans, and we have that cultural identity over the top of us at superimposed, right? Meaning we have ID and a birth certificate, social security card, and you don't want to fuck around and commit treason, right? But truthfully, we have even in the government's rights in our Constitution written in the right to make your subcultural connection. You can actually make it equal with that superimposed political, governmental, social structure called your nationality. I don't want to lose you when I say that. And in antiquity, it's always been that way. That's why you have people in Northeast Africa speaking Arabic today, right? Because people that might identify with being Bantu may speak a language that is not connected with being Bantu or Bantu cultures or connections. You understand what I'm trying to say? Just like me being an RBG Hebrew and me identifying with Israelite culture, but at the same time I hold the American license and all of that, the paperwork. The same thing is always present. And in history, when we look at peoples and places and times, we have to look at it in that tiered. Uh, we had to look at it like that, layered, tiered, structured as relates to what people identify with, not necessarily as they were documented. You know. So the reason I say Bantu is not a language, but more specifically a culture, is because it has that wide grip like that. It's not a nationality to that extent. I don't understand. I don't want to confuse you because what you're saying has validity, but it's not really a language. The cultural amalgamation of the Hebrews with Bantu culture is definitely there, but linguistically, Bantu is not Hebrew, and Bantu is not a language. Am I confusing? Am I confusing what I'm saying, or do you understand what I'm saying with that? I agree with what you're saying because I know what you're saying, but in trying to articulate it, just had to say it that way. Um, but yeah, Kivon, I dig it. Yeah, that's a very deep subject, and all of our ancient purity in the cultures is very deep. And I think to talk about Bantu culture, we have to dedicate time to it because there's so many different aspects and cultural amalgamations. Excuse Excuse me. Now it's getting cold as a motherfucker out here, y'all. I'm coughing because the air cold. Let's see. What instruments do I play? I play bass guitar, drums, synthesizers, organs, keyboards, pianos. What else can I play? Pretty much any instrument that exists that you can manipulate with your fingers. I could just take the theory, learn the mechanics in a day or two, and get going on it. You know. So yeah, but I my forte is piano and rhythm. You know, because I started off with drums and I played drums up to the master class level. So you know, yeah, I'm a drummer at heart. Although I don't play the drums no more, I play strictly keys. I'm a drummer at heart, a drummer and a bassist, and I think those things make me a better uh, organist, pianist, teacher, vocalist, whatever, because I get to see music from the bottom up instead of hearing it as a bunch of different, you know, you know. When I listen to music, my because I was a drummer and played the bass, and now I do with the keys. When I listen to music, my mind cuts straight through it to the groove of every track, and so I get different colors and stuff that a lot of other musicians don't, being that I played the drums and I see it from that perspective. The conversation between the drum kick and the bass player and that space that it creates for whatever needs to be on top or in between, yeah. But that's those instruments that I deal with. hmm I was on first Stir Up the Gift. Wow. I know how to play Stir Up the Gift on the bass, and I still remember it on the keys. And Latter Rain. Wow, man, brother, God bless you, because you blessed me with those. Those songs always been go-to songs. Like even today, I could dip back in, and them songs are great because they're timeless. They not time stamped. Like you could say, oh no, that's a song from 1940, and that's only good for at prayer time. You know what I mean? You can't play that in 2019. No, Stir Up the Gift and Latter Rain. She that'll rock today, huh? That'll rock right on the side of Jonathan Butler and anybody. Wow, man. Yeah, that was a while ago, but them songs are still relevant, fam. Woo! You took me back with them two. I might come on here and play them two songs one day on the organ or the piano or something. Night Train, God bless you, man, for real. Poppy singing the Bronx River Boys Choir. A bazoo. I could see Poppy singing in the on the risers with a little bit with that book he said Bambada took a picture of all the men penises in. Poppy singing out of the book. Lord have mercy, man. A bazoo, brother. Damn, bro. Poppy gonna fuck around and hurt somebody, man. God damn, Bronx River Boys Choir family. Singing out of a hymn book of dicks. Excuse me, y'all. I'm sorry, fam. Abazu did that. Abazu. Lord have mercy. Big Pop says, do I play secular? Yes. hmm And my preferred secular genre is soul music from the 60s and 70s. Like Curtis Mayfield, Pusha Man, that stuff. And that guitar line, the simpleness of that track in that time period, man, the drums and the congos, all that stuff. I loved it. I loved it. And soul, and then neo soul, today's time period, I love that stuff, man. I love it. So I do a lot, and then when it time presents itself and I get those gigs, I do them. You know, yeah, I do those, and any of it, funerals, weddings, restaurants, jazz. I like jazz, and I do a lot of impromptu jazz because it's just theory. So yeah, but I don't whore my gift out. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna take no job to just run on the road with Snoop. If he sends for me, I'm gonna say, listen, Mr. Snoop, are y'all gonna be having homosexuality on the tour? Yes. I'm not going. No, sign me up. You know what I mean? That's the kind of musician I am. So I know music in and of itself as a theory is neither good or bad. Music is only music is inertly powerful, if you could say that. It's inert. It can't harm you, but it's extremely powerful without lyrics. When you add lyrics to it, you give it intent, which makes it innately good or bad even at its creation. But if you got an instrumental, you got music, it's neither good or bad. It's inert, but extremely powerful. Does that make sense? Mhm. I was just talking about that the other night. Um, Sometimes I sang and weeped. I know, because them songs was powerful, Night Train. Man, y'all used to kill it, man. I ain't lying. I ain't just trying to big up for nothing. I'm talking about for real, for real. For real, for real. Colorado Mass was great, and there was some great songs to come out of there. Them two, you just said, I'm going to listen to tonight. Yeah, yeah. Dance Fever. Yeah, she had them goddamn Dance Fever pants on out here, man. Trying to embarrass me. The Tower of Babel, was it talking about knowledge of the doctrine? Knowledge of doctrine. So he split the tongues. The Tower of Babel was talking about not just the tongues, but a condition of man. hmm The same condition that was present in the book of Genesis, chapter 6. And it documents it by saying that the imaginations of men were continually evil in all that they did. And the linguistics separation that the Tower of Babel story attempts to tell is only a manifestation of that wicked intent of the heart of man, and nothing being withheld from man because of a unified understanding, not necessarily only in linguistics, but thought, right? And I think that story is a genius because it talks about barriers that need to be there. hmm Just think about it. If we all spoke the same language on earth today, as wicked as the world is now, and we need translators, just imagine how open the wickedness would be. Hmm? Some of y'all never slept with a Mexican or Guatemalan because you can't speak Spanish. And sometimes that might be the only thing to keep you faithful to your wife. Because you can't go out and talk to some of these women y'all watch on porn. But truly, I'm making a joke about it just to make it simple and kind of, make it easy for everybody to understand. That story talks about a necessity that was made as a barrier in our minds and our tongues and dealings with each other because of the imaginations of man. We are the image of God. We have that same ability to create our reality as our creator. And when we come together as man and woman, there's nothing that can be withheld from the image of God. That's what the Torah was talking about and trying to give us in the beginning of that story. Notice this, and when y'all go, and I'm gonna wind this up, family. But notice this: when you look at the book of Genesis, Bereshit Aleph 1, right? Genesis 1, and then you look at Genesis 2. I want you to notice that the first command to man was given to man under that name, man without a body. This man was told to create the same way that the Most High created that entity to speak things into existence. Genesis 2 talks about a literal reality, atomic science, things being formed and created and set in motion. But Bereshit Aleph talks about the actual deity that is man, and the commonality between you being God's image with the woman and what you're capable of. And that kind of ties back into the Tower of Babel question, because there is nothing withheld from the image of God when you're in that place, when you're in that right place of creation and you know who you are as a whole image of God. But those thoughts, I don't want to go too deep, man, without the Torah, because I want people to be able to walk with me. I'm gonna this year, man. It's gonna be a walk through the Bible like y'all ain't never been. It's gonna be something great. But the Tower of Babel story is at its base about how the Most High confused or split the tongues, or the consciousness of men became dissonant with each other's reality culturally. But there is a much deeper truth that has to do with mankind and mankind's capabilities. hmm Yeah, what we are is not what we think we are. We are much greater than what we see ourselves as. hmm And even access to our mind, even scientifically, we know we don't access and use the greatest part of our intellect. And all of those things are just a reality that points right back to what this family here is talking about. What happened in that story, the blocking off of access of some of our intellect as far as our brain capacity. It's all wound up in that story, but it had to be laid out in the Hebraic text and very deeply. hmm Max and H Matter, which what I say, y'all laughing at our ass off in here. I prefer praise music. I prefer praise. I love worship and that slow type of stuff, but I prefer to get it in because I like, you know, to enjoy myself. You know what I mean? Yeah. hmm I like to trip out on people shouting and acting a fool and expressing themselves, how the different people express themselves. You're not touring with Bam then? No, I ain't going with Bam fam. No. Uh, I had to go to the desert when the video was done, so I missed it. I saw it on TV, wishing I was on it. Night Train, I'm going through the whole Colorado Mass tonight. Watch, I'm going through the whole archive, family. Yeah, Max Bird, the boys choir. That's what y'all was tripping on. Can't you see Poppy in a little nice uh, choir suit, holding up the Book of the Dead, singing out of it? I ain't talking about the Papyrus of Ani and the pyramid text. I'm talking about that book that Bambada had all the men's penises in. Poppy singing out of it. See, that's y'all doing that, man. H Mallet and Abazu in here doing that shit, man. Poppy, you singing the Bronx River Boys choir, baby. la. Y'all listen here, man. It's been real. And come back Saturday or Friday, whichever one. I set camps, councils, and man worship. Y'all gonna enjoy that third part of the series, man. And Miss Beverly, did you miss the interview? No. What interview did you miss? You ain't miss nothing. You ain't miss nothing. Just go back on here and rewind. Or unless you're talking about Layla's interview, she did one today. It was good too. You gotta check it out. Love you, Miss Beverly. We praying for you, dear sister. And I love all of you all, man. Shout out to everybody in the room. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your patience. And my brother Abasu, love you, man. You funny as hell, brother. At Night Train, I'm going to turn that stuff on right now. Thank you for letting me know those things, family. Yeah.